Hey, Twisted listeners, I'm Cindy,
And I'm Diva
and this is Twisted Listers, a podcast about murder.
and Liz.
And sorry, we're late again. Life gets in the way.
I was traveling.
Mm-hmm.
It
And then
was a
I
whole
have
thing.
a kid that I'm just anything he wants or needs, I do. So
He's got a lot going on. He's got a busy schedule.
yeah, he was in a musical, which was hilarious. He was the Purple People Eater, and he sang on stage. And
Very cute.
weirdly, was not nervous. There were at
It's
least
awesome.
60 people there, minimum, probably way more.
That's good.
Yeah, it was really cute. But we're a little bit late. We'll try to catch up. I think we can.
Yeah.
Also, there's a new Patreon. We put it out last week.
Mhm.
Hopefully, y'all enjoy it. It was me. I did Gerard John Schaefer. He was a total piece of shit.
Yeah, it was very dark. It was very violent.
Super
very
dark.
disturbing.
That's the other reason, because we took a day to record that, so it pushed these.
Right.
So
I'm working on Dean Coral for Halloween Patreon. I'll have that out by the end of the month.
Don't love it, but I'll
Candyman.
listen. God damn it, I fucking hate that one.
I just watched Candyman on the plane back from Houston, the new one.
Did you like it?
Yes, I mean, I saw it before in the theaters.
Dean Coral is not the same as the Candyman, just so you guys
know. No affiliation.
Yeah.
But they do both involve candy.
They do. And children.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah, I liked this new Candyman. I thought it was pretty good.
I didn't love all the hole stuff they were doing, because I'm one of those people that's afraid of holes.
Oh my god, it was disgusting.
There was a lot of hole stuff.
There was, and I didn't love it. But that's also as much as I hated it, I appreciated that it was a clever way of also freaking more people out. It was very well thought out. Doing that, finding different levels of ways to horrify the viewers was really I enjoyed that. But anyway, this is part 2 of take 2 or redo of Mysterious Disappearances.
Spooky Mysterious Disappearances, yes.
I really was annoying in the last one. I realized as I was listening back, I was like, I would not stop fucking talking about Amy Bradley. You finished yours, and I was like, but if we can go back to her for just a moment.
No, that's the thing about all these cases. They make you obsessed. Yeah, you get in your head.
They do, and you do. And this new other one that I did, I'd never even actually heard of it, and you had. And I researched it, and I'm also very intrigued. Not as intrigued. For whatever reason, Amy Bradley just hits different. It does. But this one is also really interesting. So but anyway, anything else to talk about? We mentioned the Patreon, our busy lives, talking about a movie. I think we're good. Let's get into it, huh?
Yeah, it's spooky season.
Yes, love it.
Mysterious Disappearances. All right. I kick us off, and it's gonna be depressing.
Great.
You're not gonna like it at all.
Okay. When do I? When do I ever?
And this is, I'll say up front the disclaimer that it's less mysterious, but it's still haunting.
Okay. Less mysterious, haunting.
Still a disappearance for sure. So this is the case of little Sofia Juarez.
Ooh,
yeah.
little.
Yep. This happened in Kennewick, Washington in 2003. And Sofia was a 4-year-old girl.
Oh, come on.
I'm sorry, Cindy. I'm sorry.
No, you're not.
I'm sorry. She lived with her mom, her grandma, as well as 6 aunts and uncles. So it's a busy home in Kennewick. She and her family were Mexican immigrants. Mm-hmm. Her father was back in Mexico and was not in her life at all, but she has obviously a really rich, loving family life anyway.
Okay, guys, sorry. When Diva started recording on Zoom, it turned her mic off, so she sounded like she was in a wind tunnel, but we fixed it. So getting back into Sophia.
Back at it.
Yes.
Ugh. All right. So Sophia, like I said, her dad wasn't around, but she has a really huge family, and her mom. Mm-hmm. And she's literally a 4-year-old girl, so there's not a lot of bio here to give, but she's just a typical little girl. Her the little bio that people always give for her is she loved to put on makeup and play with Barbies, and it's yeah, she's 4. That's what she is.
Yeah, she's a 4-year-old little girl. She sounds adorable. I'm sure she was.
She looks like me when I was little. Honestly, she's like insanely cute. Insanely cute.
You were insanely cute.
Thank you.
Also.
But she is also.
Hold on. Now I'm looking at how she does kind of look like you.
Yeah, right.
Up.
Yeah. She's kinda super, super, super cute and like making this cute little face in the picture that everyone circulates of her.
Yeah.
Like she's bashful, but her family said she was really shy and she was not a kid who would like wander off or do anything weird. She wasn't adventurous. She was like a little homebody. So February 4th, 2003, it was one day before Sofia's 5th birthday, which she was really excited about.
That's so sad.
And she had spent the evening playing at home with her mom and her uncles, normal evening. Her grandma's boyfriend, Jose Lopez Torres.
He did it. I'm sorry. I don't know if he did. I'm sorry.
Definitely didn't.
Okay. Sorry.
Sorry.
I'm kidding. But I was like, the boyfriend.
He definitely didn't. So I'm going to exonerate Jose right now.
Okay.
Jose also lived with a family, and he decided to go on a nearby convenience store run, to the bodega as you do. And he asked the kids, I'm not sure what other kids were there, maybe some cousins or friends, Sofia and some other kids, if they wanted to come along with him, but they said no. So he just goes. At the last minute, the sequence of events here is like blows my fucking brain out. So at the last minute, after Jose had already just left the house, Sofia decided she wanted to go with. So her mom gave her $1 to get a candy or whatever treat at the store. And Sofia just bounds off after him. And he had left like a second before. So she's like, it's fine. They'll just meet
catch up with him in like 10 seconds and be fine. Yep. Oh, God.
She left so fast after him, she forgot to take a jacket. And it was a, winter evening in Washington. So it's not warm.
Right.
And she was wearing only a long sleeve shirt. So insanely, Jose didn't realize that Sofia was coming along after him. And even though she was right behind him,
literally right
behind him, she never caught up with him.
Oh my God.
But Jose goes to the store, he buys some milk, and he uses a payphone to make a phone call to some family back in Mexico. And Jose comes back to the family home around 9:45 p.m. and they immediately realize what happened. Obviously, when the mom's like, what the fuck? Like,
where's my kid?
Yeah. I thought she was with you.
Oh my God.
And I think by this point, like 20 minutes to 30 minutes had transpired by the time we got back.
Yeah.
After a quick search of the immediate area, like just the immediate vicinity, but like less than 10 minutes later, they call police.
Oh, good.
So police actually, thankfully, do take Sofia's disappearance seriously, and it becomes very quickly apparent that what happened to her, like I said, is not necessarily mysterious because this little girl's not going to run away. She's a kid, right? There's no like suicide question here, like there are with missing adults. She was not lost or injured because they would have like found her. She was taken by someone in a fucking second.
It like just snapped
in a split second after she left her house.
Yep, that was just the most.
That is what happened.
Most insane fucking thing ever.
That is what blows my mind. Yeah, like she was steps from her grandma, and from her between her house and her grandmother's boyfriend.
Right, that's fucking insane.
Yeah,
that's truly like what the fuck.
And Jose is not a suspect because other people were at the store and saw him and verify that he was there. No kid, and that's what happened.
Jesus Christ. Yeah.
So the investigators respond really quickly. They do a huge search of the area. Within the coming days, there's hundreds of volunteer searchers also helping out. Within an hour of her being missing, the FBI is called. Like, they're on it.
That's great. I mean, it's not common, but it's great.
It's not common. The National Center for Missing and Exploited Children is brought in. The state of Washington's first ever Amber Alert is also issued for Sofia.
Wow.
Yeah. I guess it had just like taken effect. In the days after her disappearance, the search broadened from her neighborhood to a systematic sweep of the whole broader area, including rivers, sewers, places you really don't want to find her, but they have to look.
You gotta check. Yeah. It's better than not knowing in a way.
Flyers are handed out, cadaver dog teams are used, there's thermal imaging, helicopters, like you name it, blah, 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 like every kind of search tactic.
Yeah.
Over 800 tips came in, and there's 144 reported sightings of Sofia. Everything is supposedly thoroughly investigated, all the tips. Nearby sex offenders are looked into and cleared. All of her family members and friends that, could have been in the area, everyone is fucking looked up and down and cleared. Her DNA was input into CODIS, which means it has been continually run against unidentified remains, that are found. And age-progressed images of her have been released periodically over the years. Her case was actually pretty high profile. It was featured on America's Most Wanted. She got her face and kind of the poster on a NASCAR car and on a major series of billboards.
Wow.
A series of the sides of trucks. So they're like blasting this out to everywhere.
They're doing everything they can possibly fucking do.
Yeah. And in a tragic turn of events, her mother, Maria, actually passed away in 2009 at only age 26.
What the fuck?
Only 6 years.
Crazy.
Yeah, apparently she never gave up hope that they would find her still alive. 6 years after her daughter's disappearance, she's dead.
So she had Sofia pretty young, too.
Yeah, she must have been like 20.
She must have been like 16 if she died when she
was
when
she had her.
Yeah.
Had her. Yeah. And so, and apparently this is from medical complications. She had just had another child in 2008, so it may or may not be related to that.
Oh my god.
Yes.
Wow.
So she had a baby as well. Yeah.
That's fucked.
Okay, so at some point the case goes cold, but despite a really solid effort, it sounds like, but it is officially relaunched in 2020, and in March 2021, the Kennewick Police Department started a website, pretty good website, about Sofia's case. In May 2021, a woman in Mexico claiming to be Sofia was featured on a TikTok that went viral. She only vaguely kind of resembled the age-progressed images of Sofia, but don't get too excited because after investigating it, in March 2022, a DNA test officially proved it's not Sofia.
Damn. Okay.
She's like I don't think she did it maliciously. She's like experiencing homelessness, and she clearly was mentally not all there. But who knows? It's a bummer. Yeah, and it definitely gave everyone like a false flash of hope for a second.
Yeah, that's fucked up.
In June 2021, we actually got what seems like to me a major break in the case because police have been invigorated by this new wave of investigation. They released a description of a person and a vehicle that they describe coming from a highly credible quote unquote witness who saw essentially what sounds like the Sofia being abducted.
Okay. Wow.
It's unclear if this is a witness that newly came forward or if they're just newly releasing the information, but they had it all along. I don't know which one.
It's always so weird how that works.
Yeah, I don't know. The police, via obviously this witness, described the suspect as being between 11 and 14 years old.
Oh, no.
Which is bothersome to me.
Very, very much. God.
So like a kid himself, essentially, older kid. At the time that they saw him with Sofia, and this would make him in 2021 between ages 29 and 32.
Okay, so still fucking pretty young.
Still pretty young. He was described as Latino, with a lighter complexion, a quote unquote baby face, because he's a kid, that was chubby. They said he had large hands, short wavy hair, a mark on his cheek, and he was about 5 foot tall.
Okay.
So it's a pretty good description. In a very upsetting detail or description, the witness described how they saw the young boy encountering Sofia, leading her towards the van, and Sofia crying and him laughing.
Oh, no.
Yeah.
Oh, that's fucked up.
And I'm like, how did this happen in like a millisecond? Like, it's every parent's nightmare.
It's that fucking quick.
Yeah. So the van was described as a light-colored panel van from the 1970s to early 80s with no windows, which classic cliche of a child abducting van.
Yeah.
The detective said in the statement about this whole thing, quote, it is our belief that the van and the juvenile male may be associated with one another, which makes me think that maybe these are two separate witnesses, the van and the abduction.
Yeah, okay.
So it's not, because he says it's like possible. It's not like confirmed.
They're related.
And obviously the kid's not driving the van.
Right. Obviously not.
So there has to be someone else who's driving if the kid is associated with the van.
Yeah, but that's so fucking weird. Like,
Yeah.
how? Dude, this is so weird and fucked up.
Was this a gang of like kids and young men kind of thing, or teens and younger teens? You know?
Yeah, maybe. Yeah,
maybe. Another witness saw a quote unquote occupied van, people in it, doesn't say how many people, stopped on a nearby street that matched the same description as that van. Although they called it light blue or gray, but still it's light colored.
Yeah. Yeah.
Close enough, perhaps. I also found one article that mentioned a tip from the time of her abduction. So they said when this tip came in about a 90s model orange van. So it seems like a panel van has come up multiple different times.
Right.
But it's changed appearance very slightly, but it's like a light colored panel van was there.
With no windows.
Yeah.
Okay.
Like, it's just wild that this like evil child abductor, no window ass van is there, and she steps out of her house and is abducted a millisecond later.
Yeah, like that fucking quick. And there's a little kid involved somehow.
Yeah. Yeah. Like, how were they just waiting for any kid to appear at all?
Yeah, I don't know. That's
at like 9 o'clock in the evening in a quiet residential neighborhood in a suburb in Washington that's not even like a bad neighborhood.
It was a crime of opportunity for sure. It was a crime of opportunity. But like how all these pieces fit together is just like really hard to even contemplate.
Yeah. So that's pretty much the case. I have a few closing notes here, but like it's so upsetting.
It really is.
From the police page about her case, I think this sums it up pretty well. Quote, Sofia was a beacon of sunshine and who had a bright and innocent life stolen from her. Her family, friends, and community have lived under a dark cloud since she was taken from us. Sofia was and still is loved by all who knew her.
Oh, they haven't had her declared legally dead.
No.
I mean, there's no benefit to it, I guess, at this point, especially if her mom's not alive, but like...
Yeah.
That's fucked.
But yeah, I picked this case too because I also wanted to talk about like the epidemic of brown and black and indigenous like girls and women whose investigative thing, it's interesting, who've gone missing with much less press coverage than their white counterparts, of which there's like a billion cases. You know, we talked about missing white woman syndrome before, where like your Gabby Petitos, you know, and you could certainly draw a parallel here, like for instance the global insanity that popped up around Madeleine McCann, right, being abducted.
And I'd never even heard of this.
Yeah, so I mean, even though she got,
and it was, they did try and they did get it out there, but it's not, the media didn't do what they did.
No. So yeah, but what's interesting to me, actually, what's fascinating is that this case actually did have a lot of resources and money and time thrown at it. And like, it's insane that they've never come up with anything, despite actually putting a serious investigation into it, which like for many Latinx little kids and black little kids is not fucking happening.
Not all what happens. Yeah, not even
not at all. Yeah. No, or they're more, if she was 12, she also could have been like, oh, she's a runaway, right? We could have gotten that.
I mean, had she been like 6 or 7, I would have expected
they could have even done that.
Run away. It's like, seriously.
Yeah, I think it's only by virtue that she was so little that they couldn't really say runaway yet. Like you have to graduate to that.
I mean, I never like to give the police credit, as you know, but it really does sound like they
did do some shit.
Their job in this instance. And like the FBI coming in so quickly is like a really good sign that they were like taking it seriously. So frustrating as fuck.
It's still really frustrating. They haven't found a single thing. But like I said, but also with the new break, I'm like vaguely hopeful that it could be solved, because it sounds like it's still happening. They're working
their way. Yeah.
Maybe someone that kid sounds familiar. So
yeah, absolutely. I mean, they just need to search anywhere nearby, like in the same county with like that, like for registered vans, you know. I mean, it's likely a very big search, but like, it's been years,
it's also been 20 years. The van could be gone.
Yeah, but they have old records of, you know, I don't know what to do. As time passes, it gets harder and harder, I realize. I'm glad they're still trying. Fuck, that's a fucked up story.
Yeah.
Okay, well, mine's not nearly as bad. I mean, it's terrible, but it's not a
it's
child.
an adult, at least. Yes. Automatically not as bad. Yeah.
Yeah. And there's a lot more mystery surrounding this one. Whereas I think with Sofia, we all know what happened. We just can't prove it, or we don't know the specifics. Anyway, this is the story of Ray Gricar. And yes, that is how you say his last name, Gricar. You look at it and you want to say Gricar, but it's not. It's Gricar.
No, Gricar sounds right. Yeah.
It does. So Ray here was born in 1945 and raised in Cleveland, Ohio, or the area, that general area. I think he was in like a small suburb. He stayed local his whole life. He went to college and even law school locally. When he graduated, he became a prosecutor for Cuyahoga County, which I don't love. Don't love a prosecutor, but here we are.
No.
He was married to, I couldn't figure out when they met. It was either like high school or college sweetheart. But they married and, were happy. And they adopted a daughter, I think like 9 years after they were married or something like that. And at one point, his wife was offered a really good, prestigious job in Pennsylvania. And Ray was like, yeah, I'll move with you. Like, let's go. Yeah. I'm willing to be a stay-at-home dad. Like, she was making enough money that he didn't need to work. So he was like, yeah, I'll be a stay-at-home dad. Like, I'll do whatever it takes. Like, if you want this job, like, let's do it. I should say he was a Catholic man. He was pretty deeply religious, a very private man. Very private, and obviously a prosecutor. So we're getting like the stoic,
painting a picture
man vibe here.
Yeah. He's not cutting up. He's not going to a rave. He's not.
No, he's like a family man and a dedicated husband and father, and the whole shebang. But also a prosecutor.
Okay.
So anyway, he pretty quickly after moving was offered a job as an assistant prosecutor for Center County District Attorney. And in 1985, after doing that job for a while, he ran for DA, for the district attorney, and he won. And he was a pretty popular DA and was reelected in 1989, 1993, 1997, and 2001. Okay. Now, during this time, despite his popularity, there was, of course, some drama. I'm sure you've heard of Jerry Sandusky.
I have. Yes. Yes.
Pretty much everybody has, even if you don't follow sports. But in case you haven't, he was an assistant football coach at Pennsylvania State, which is where Ray's wife worked. And he had been accused of sexually assaulting boys as young as 11 years old. And in fact, it was 1998 when an 11-year-old boy came forward and said that Jerry had taken multiple showers with him. It was actually his mother who came forward. And his mother was given a wire to wear. They took it very seriously. And she wore a wire while talking to Jerry. Jerry said it was hard. He said things that were definitely suspicious, but not full on incriminating.
Yeah.
He definitely, it was one of those things where it's like, you basically just told me that you did it, but you said so in such a way that like it wouldn't hold up in court necessarily, right?
Yeah.
So sadly, despite probably believing that he did assault this boy, this 11-year-old, Ray declined to prosecute him, saying that he didn't think the case was winnable. Now, a lot of people would start to sort of connect the dots here. His wife was working at Pennsylvania State. That Jerry here, Sandusky, is Pennsylvania State. But a couple of things. He and his wife were divorced at this time. They had already divorced. So his connection to Pennsylvania State was like very, very minimal at this point. Right. And anybody who knew him said that he was the kind of guy that he didn't give a shit who it was. If there was a case to prosecute them, he would prosecute them.
It was about that. It wasn't about who it was.
Yeah, he wasn't in like a boys club, like rich guy power thing at all. And his relation to Jerry Sandusky would have been probably nothing before this happened.
Okay.
Still, as you can imagine, people were pissed. And as we all know, in 2011, I believe, Jerry Sandusky was finally tried and convicted of like 40-something counts of sexual assault against minor boys and will be in prison for the rest of his life. So definitely a very big case, but at the time in 1998, did not get prosecuted. Either way, people were pissed, like I said. So there's absolutely drama there, But, again, as a DA, it's not his job to find the proof. It's his job to use the proof to get the conviction. So if the detectives couldn't get it for him, then there wasn't anything he could do. And even though there was that drama, he was still reelected. And he continued on in his position, remarried, got divorced again. And by 2005, when this all goes down, he had a pretty serious girlfriend. He also, like I said, had a daughter. He was super close with her. In fact, at one point when she was injured while snowboarding in California, he flew out that same night, was like, I'm not coming to work. I'm not doing anything. I'm going to go be with her. So very sweet, very close with his daughter, which comes into play a little later.
Yeah.
So anyway, it's now April 15th, 2005. Ray calls his girlfriend. He's actually at home with his girlfriend in the morning, and he says, I'm going to play hooky from work. I don't want to go in today. She's like, do it. Like you've earned it. You've worked your ass off for a long time. He's 59 at this point. Okay. And he's decided he's going to retire at 60. So he's going to retire early.
Sounds like a great plan.
Yeah, I know. Me too, right?
Sounds great. Yeah.
I'd love to. So he tells his girlfriend, like, I'm just going to play hooky today and, like, go run some errands, take the day, whatever. She's like, do it. That sounds great. So he calls her later because she was like, let me know if I need to feed the dog. And he calls her and he's like, yep, I'm going to be home a little bit later. Can you feed the dog? She's like, yeah, no problem. He called her around 11:30 a.m. Now, he had taken off in his red Mini Cooper, which is important, and he was alone. So around 11:30, he said, I'll be home in a few hours. Definitely feed the dog. I'll see you soon. So she's like, great, no problem. She goes to work, or she comes home, for lunch, feeds the dog, goes back to work, comes home. He's still not home. She's like, okay. I don't know if she went to the gym or went somewhere else, but she left the house again. She's like, maybe I just missed him. Maybe he's out doing something, whatever. She gets back again, and he's still not there. So she's kind of like, where the fuck is he? And at 11 o'clock at night, she calls and reports him missing because she's trying to call his cell phone. She's trying to get a hold of him. She's calling around, seeing if anybody knows where he is. Nobody knows where he is. So she calls the police. And because of who he is, police get right down to business looking for him. They take this seriously. So another situation where the cops aren't fucking around. But they don't find him.
Okay.
And that night, they can't find any sign of him anywhere. The next day, they do find his car about 50 miles away in Lewisburg, right near an antiques mall he would visit with his girlfriend.
Okay.
And there were really weird clues kind of around this vehicle. So the car was locked, no sign of anybody inside of it, obviously. The car was clean. There was nothing in it, like no personal items, nothing. But when they were able to open the door, they smelled a strong scent of cigarette smoke, and there was cigarette ash in his car.
And he didn't smoke.
Anybody who knew Ray, not only did he not smoke, but he hated the smell of cigarette smoke, never smoked, really clean guy, would never let somebody smoke in his car.
Yeah, because that shit stinks. It sticks.
It does, like forever.
Yeah.
One night, a man who did not have a place to live slept in my Volvo because it was raining.
Yeah.
I didn't mind that, but he fucking smoked a cigarette with the windows up, and the car it smelled terrible after that for months. I finally just sold it. I was like, I can't do this.
Yeah, it really sticks.
And it sucks. It was a beautiful old car. Anyway, so it does stick. So this is really weird. Who was smoking in his car? How did the ash get in there? Where was the cigarette butt? The cigarette butt wasn't there, just the ash.
Yeah.
So who the fuck, like, who's doing this, So police start to treat this almost immediately like a homicide. Or not necessarily like, they're not saying like, this is a homicide. They're saying like, this is suspicious. So they get sniffer dogs, they do the whole nine, secure the area, start doing all the investigative stuff. And they get sniffer dogs, and they find that Ray's trail goes cold just outside of his vehicle. So what that leads them to believe is maybe he got into another car. Because how else did his scent just disappear?
Yeah.
Local authorities pretty quickly asked the FBI for assistance to check his bank accounts, phone records, anything that could lead to a trail or show that he was alive.
He didn't walk away, though.
And not according to the dogs.
Yeah, dogs don't lie.
Yeah. But there was nothing on bank accounts, phone records, nothing. They couldn't find anything. July 30th is the next time anything happened. And this is when police find his laptop in the Susquehanna River. But when they find it, the hard drive is missing. It's been taken out. Mm-hmm. So laptop in the river, no hard drive. 2 months later, a hard drive is found in the same river. Now, it's thought to have belonged to his computer. We can't ever prove that, though, because even though they had 5 separate agencies attempt to get information from it, including, like the highest, tech in the world or whatever, like people who, this is literally like, if there's information to be had or to be found, they will find it. They didn't get a fucking thing. They could not get anything off this hard drive. So we think it's his hard drive, but there's no way to know. And one of the reasons is that it was not only super damaged from water damage, but it was also intentionally damaged with like abuse. Like it had been like
like smashed. Okay.
Now, in 2001, police released information stating that before his disappearance, someone at the home that he shared with his girlfriend, they can't say it was him, again, they can't tell, but somebody at the home he shared with his girlfriend searched for how to destroy a hard drive, if it could be ruined with water, how to smash it, basically just like went in a deep dive of how to clear a hard drive.
Yeah.
So that's kind of it. There's a little bit more. After his, disappearance, there were some random sightings of him around town. But what's funny is that, so he lived in a town called Center Hall. At the time, it had about 1,200 people in it. And so you can imagine there aren't a lot of Mini Coopers.
No.
However,
red Mini Coopers, yeah.
Let alone red. There was one other person in this whole town that had a red Mini Cooper, and he was also like a white man in his late 50s. Who like didn't look like Ray, but resembled him enough that people would be like, there he is, So kind of interesting. But anyway, that's about it with regards to his disappearance. Now we're going to talk about the theories of what happened.
Okay.
I mean, as far as there's 3 major theories, and basically, like, I can't think of anything. The only other theory would be like alien abduction, because essentially it's like the main 3 things.
But aliens don't care about his laptop, so
yeah, they're not trying to get with that.
No.
So the first, theory is that he walked away from his life.
Yeah.
To me, this is kind of the least probable theory, but there is some evidence for it.
Okay.
First, he tried to, and successfully did destroy his hard drive. So that would be anything that could link him to anything that he was doing. Which makes sense if you're trying to disappear. Second, the day he went missing, he was reported to have been seen at that antique mall with a woman. The way that they were reported as seeing each other was like almost if by chance, like they knew each other, but like they hadn't planned to meet.
Okay.
So I don't know how good of a lead that is, but who knows? She was seen smoking at that mall as well, which leads you to think, okay, smoking, ash in the car, cigarette smell, seen with this woman before he disappeared. And these sightings were more reputable because we know he was there, and people were like, yeah, it was definitely him. Like, we know who he is. He was at this mall. So that feels like it was real.
Yeah.
Now, I can't remember. I was trying to figure out exactly if police either never figured out who she was or didn't interview her. I think they maybe had an idea who it was, but never followed up on it, which I find really fucking stupid and annoying.
Yeah.
Anyway, other evidence for this is that he had recently expressed interest in another case where like another lawyer or a cop or something had disappeared, had just walked away and started his life over. And I know how you said when people walk away from their lives, there's always something.
Yeah.
And in this case, there's the hard drive erasing and there's the talking about the similar case. So to me, those are 2 things that give it enough kind of
there's something.
There's something. It's a little more valid to me.
Yeah.
He also spoke Slovenian and almost fluent Russian and had family in Slovenia.
Wow.
So he could have bounced out to Europe,
Yeah.
But if he wasn't in Europe, he may also have been in the Wilkes-Barre area of Pennsylvania, because apparently multiple people claim to have seen him at a bar watching a baseball game.
Oh my God.
And what's really interesting about that is that one time, years prior, when he was with his first wife, they got in a big fight. like a huge one. And everybody always said, like, Ray's not the kind of guy to just get up and walk away. Like, he's not the kind of guy who won't tell you where he's going or where he is. Like I said, he called his girlfriend to be like, feed the dog, I'm going to be late. So he's very reliable. But he got in this fight with his first wife, and he bounced out to fucking Cleveland and took himself to a baseball game.
Oh my gosh.
And just, like, didn't respond to phone calls, didn't do anything for, like, 2 solid days. So that's another kind of weird thing about, like, maybe he would just bounce out, you know?
Yeah.
But that being said, like I mentioned, he was super close with his daughter. So it doesn't make a lot of sense that he would do that. Even if he wanted to start his life over, like, what about her, you know?
Yeah, no, it doesn't sound, he sounds like he would have considered her.
Yeah. The second theory is that he killed himself. He died by suicide.
Okay.
And the supporting evidence of this is a little bit better. His brother died by suicide. And not only did his brother die by suicide, but he did it by throwing himself into a river.
Oh.
And Ray's car was parked right by a river.
Mm.
And Ray would talk about his brother's suicide often.
Okay.
So I think that's a really strong indicator that was a similar thing. His brother's body was not found for 3 days. And now, obviously, Ray's has never been found. And a lot of people point to that as meaning he didn't throw himself into the river because why wasn't his body found?
Right, yeah.
But if a body hits a current, right, they're going to get pulled all the way out. You know what I mean? Like, it's very possible that they wouldn't have found his body, or that his body would have got trapped under something or pulled under in the current or washed out to the ocean eventually or into a lake. I mean, there's a lot of options. So not finding his body doesn't necessarily mean he didn't go into the river.
Okay.
His girlfriend also said he'd been really tired and sort of out of it recently. Again, the hard drive stuff seems fishy. I feel like the hard drive works for both theories.
It works for someone doing it or him doing it.
Yeah, it does. It also works for him walking away. If he's trying to, like, his life
it
or searches.
It definitely feels like it's him covering it up, because who else, like, has something to hide on his hard drive, and who else, like, would want to get rid of that?
Right, exactly. But some people, like I said, think this is bullshit because he had no signs of depression, even though his girlfriend said he'd been really tired recently. People were like, you know, he was really looking forward to his retirement. He was like, had this whole plan for them to go traveling and, like, do all these great things. But here's the thing, like, people who die by suicide often make these decisions, like, within an hour of, you know, like, do it within an hour of deciding. It can be very hard to tell when somebody is suicidal. You know, and there's a certain percentage of people who give no signs of it before it happens.
Yeah, that's true.
You know, those things, it may not be super likely, but, like, you know,
it's happened. Yeah.
Yeah. And police, in fact, believe this is the most likely scenario. But like I said, a lot of people don't. Now, the last theory is foul play. And there's a lot of evidence for this as well. The fact that he very likely ended up in somebody else's car because his scent just up and disappeared outside of his car, meaning what happened? You know, did he fly away? Like, you can't, you know?
Yeah.
So it would make sense that he went from his car into another one. The trying to destroy the hard drive may have been his attempt at promising somebody who was going to kill him that he wouldn't tell on them.
Yeah.
He had recently been a part of prosecuting a very large heroin drug ring, which is pretty significant in my mind. The guy that he got was like a local drug dealer, but he was still a very big one, and it was a very significant bust. So there could have been retaliation. There could have been, heroin is not like, there's not just local dealers. Like, they are all getting their product from somewhere major. So when you're busting heroin dealers, you are fucking with scary fucking people.
Yeah.
So quite possible that he pissed off the wrong, you know, drug kingpin. The other thing is the Sandusky connection. So a lot of people were like, maybe people were really pissed about that. But the thing is, it was many years after Sandusky, you know, and they're like, maybe he was trying to destroy evidence on his computer about Sandusky because he knew and was covering it up. That to me seems really far-fetched.
I mean, it sounds like he, as a prosecutor, would have had enough other fucking things and cases. That's not the only one. And, like, someone could also want whatever evidence he had on them destroyed. It's possible for the hard drive thing.
Yeah. So he also, I mean, his family was like considered suspects, like maybe jealous girlfriend kind of thing, and maybe like stepdaughter kind of thing. But they both passed polygraphs, and I think it was just kind of like they were just doing it because they had to, just rule them out real quick and then be done with it. So those are the three main theories. I am fucking stumped because, like, where did the cigarette come from? Where did the cigarette smoke and ash come from? Where's the cigarette butt? Where did his fucking trail go? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And if it was foul play, why, like, whoever killed him wouldn't throw his computer into the water. Well, they would just take it, right? And like destroy it or hide it.
I think, the hard drive makes it sound like he did it, but the cigarette makes me feel like it was foul play.
Right. Now, there was a witness who came forward and said that, like, some construction guy was, like, leaning into his car talking to him while smoking. But I don't feel like that's the level of scent. And also, like, if his car smelled like smoke, he's going to roll his fucking windows up and, like, sit with it and, like, leave ash. You know what I mean? Like, to me, it seemed like that cigarette ash happened at the same time that whatever else happened.
I don't know. I think it was foul play, and I think what happened is his body could have been in like the trunk or in the car, and maybe they transferred his body into a different car.
That makes sense.
Drove it away,
right?
And
I don't know that they had like cadaver dogs, because I don't know that they did that. I think they were just sniffing for his scent.
Oh, because if he was in the trunk or something, maybe they would have found his scent in the trunk,
right? And they didn't necessarily, but who knows? I mean, if he had stuff in his trunk, it would have smelled like him.
Right.
So it's hard to say.
Hard to tell.
Dogs aren't necessarily that specific.
But like he could have been abducted or unconscious too. But like I think his body was alive or dead, coercively put into another car.
Driven away. Yeah. Which is strange to me though, because again, like, why would they take his hard drive out and then throw his computer in the water and then also throw his hard drive in the water separately? Like, what is the point of that? Like,
maybe they wanted to see what he had on the hard drive to confirm if he, like, to know what he had, and then they destroyed it.
Yeah, maybe.
And just wanted to make sure extra sure it was destroyed, because obviously you know that there's a chance if you throw a computer in the water, the hard drive could still make it, maybe. So they wanted to make triple sure.
He was looking up how to destroy it. He was looking up how to destroy the hard drive. And they found the computer very close to where his car was. So it was like thrown in there.
That's mysterious.
But it also could have just been, he's like, look, I'm throwing my computer and I've destroyed my hard drive. Like, don't kill me or something. You know, like, I'll do whatever it takes. But it's also just, like, it feels planned, either in that he knew he was meeting up with these people and that's why he took the day off and he was like, I've got to figure this out. And maybe that's why he had been so tired, because he was like depressed and distracted and scared,
stressed out by it. Yeah.
Or maybe he killed himself. I don't know.
I thought I had a good theory, and then you said he was looking up how to destroy the hard drive, and I was like, I don't know. It is mysterious. It's fucking mysterious.
It's very mysterious. I don't get it. And his daughter had him declared legally dead in like 2011. And people were like hating on her for that, because they're like, oh, well, you just wanted to do that so you get like his money and shit. And it's like, she probably wanted to do it so she could like move on in a way and like get some closure.
Yeah, and he's not using his money, so who cares?
Right. And she's also still actively like trying to find him.
Yeah, of course she still wants to know what happened. So
yeah. So whatever. Anyway, everybody's got an opinion. But yeah, who knows what happened to Ray? You know?
That's weird.
It's really hard to say. His girlfriend was real bummed, as was his whole family. So kind of sad. But I think it can be really scary to be a prosecutor, and bad things can happen, and that's just kind of how it goes.
Yeah. No, I mean, there's like a bajillion criminals that hate you.
Yeah, and want you dead, essentially.
So yeah, there's no shortage of suspects.
No, not at all. Oof. And they were smart to not leave the cigarette butt. That would have been
We should do just prosecutor murders. There's probably a lot.
There's probably a lot. That's a good list.
Yeah.
Speaking of lists,
yes,
we are going to try and research these very quickly so we can record them, because I was having a brain block. I couldn't pick anything, but we finally settled on, I got Diva's help on this. We're going to do kind of a hybrid list that encompasses what I was thinking and then a broader category. We're going to do cases that were solved with the help of the paranormal. Is that the way to put it?
Paranormal cases. Yeah, it could mean many things.
Yeah.
A ghost is involved. Maybe a ghost did the murder. Maybe a ghost is helping. I don't know.
I like what I wanted to do, but some of the cases that we found aren't really, juicy enough, as it were, is like murderers who were haunted by their victims and like either as a result of that confessed or otherwise were somehow like tormented.
Well, in that case, the ghost is helping.
Right. But I think there's a lot more that we can explore with this topic, and I want to make it a little broader because it's Halloween, so let's just be generally spooky.
Spooky themed things.
Spook this shit up. So,
yes.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Okay. Amazing. All right, guys, thanks for listening. Sorry we're a little late. Thank you, as always, for your support. If you are a patron, go listen into our newest episode. If you're not a patron, it's never too late to become one. To our newest patrons, thank you. We sent you a note to send us your address so we can send you some stickers. Don't forget to do that. Thanks, everybody, for listening. And until the next one,
stay
off our
legs.
Bye.
Yeah.